Hello, everyone. My name is Caitlin Parrish. I work together with Kendi Malone and Kristen Springett to bring to you the Ecological Systems Theory by Urie Bronfenbrenner. So, this is our theory. I'm going to call him Urie because his last name is a little bit lengthy. He was born in Moscow in 1917. He did spend the majority of his life living in America, though, because his father was a pathologist at the New York State Institution, and his father was actually pretty influential on him. He had an extensive education background. He attended Cornell University for his undergraduate degree in psychology and music. He attended Harvard University for his Master's of Arts and attended University of Michigan for his PhD in developmental psychology. Other than achieving the theory behind ecological systems theory, he also is the co-founder of the Head Start program. So, definition, I chose that he suggests that person's development starts from childhood onward and they are affected by everything in their surrounding environments. So he divided those environments into five. He has the microsystem, the mesosystem, exosystem, macrosystem, and chronosystem. The microsystem is the smallest, most immediate environment out of all the five ecological environments. It brings together all the child's interactions with family, classmates, teachers, and caregivers. How the child forms those personal relationships with those groups of people really affect how the child grows. So treat others the way you want to be treated, because that's how you treat a child will in long term help the child to determine how they should treat you. Mesosystem connections. Mesosystem is the second layer of the five ecological environments, and I compared it to a spider web. So the mesosystem strings together the child's microsystems, making them connected. So it is ideal for a child's parents to build a strong relationship with their child's teacher because the joint support system provided by those two microsystems have a positive impact on the child's development. Exosystem. I kind of compared this to the butterfly effect. It involves indirect environments that are connected to people or situations that could potentially have an impact on the child's environment. So, using this as an example, a single mother gets sick and can't make it to work. She then loses her job and has no money to feed or support herself or her children. So, the child has no impact on the mother getting sick, her not being able to make it to work, or her losing her job. But because the mother has no money to be able to feed or support herself, she can't support her children either, who really hurt in the long run. Macrosystem, social and cultural values. This is the largest and most distant group of places and people that are still significantly influential to the child. This entails the most dominant cultural patterns and values and core beliefs of the child. So I chose an example, a child that grows up in a wealthy, stable environment with a mother and father that care very much about them would have much different values compared to a child that grows up in the foster care system. So I chose the Prince and the Pauper for my picture example. So think of a child that, grows up in a more stable environment. Their worries are probably more likely on the lines of how am I going to make it in my classes? How will I do in soccer, football, those kind of things. Whereas, unfortunately, a child from a lower background will probably be more worried about their next meal or where the next school is going to be, where they're going to live next, those kind of things. So, on the topic of, life changes, this is the chronosystem. It changes over time. It is the fifth and final ecological system of the five and involves influences of change and consistency in a child's environment. So, this includes family structure, home address, parental employment status, economic cycles, wars, and other significant societal changes. So I'm going to use myself as an example. I moved around a lot. I went to at least 7 different schools and actually transferred out of state once. This really, you know, Texas and New Mexico standards are a little bit different as far as how they teach. So when I moved back to Texas, I was actually behind in all my classes, especially math, because they teach differently there. So a child that moves from location to location lacks consistency in their home environment, and this often has a negative impact on the child's development. PPR standards compared to ecological theory. I compared the Urie Bronfenbrenner's theory to the PPR standard B. It's the one that I recognize most. It recognizes factors affecting the social and emotional development of students. They both understand that a student's social and emotional development has an impact in other domains, such as between home and school life. So, think of it this way. A child's life does not solely revolve around their education. They have outside forces that impact their lives as well. So, in order for a teacher to help their students, they must also take into perspective not just how their students are doing at school, but they must also come to understand that their students' lives as a whole. So, my example was a teacher has this student who is a bully towards their peers. For the teachers to gain some understanding behind their students' behavior and why they're acting the way that they are, they would need to know that their students' home life, they're often bullied by their parent. So, the child's compensating for something. There's always a reason behind their actions, the reasons why they do things that they do. Relevance to education. The ecological systems theory is relevant to education in a way that helps educators build a relationship with their students. A relationship is one of the most important tools a teacher can have when working with children. A relationship in the long run will help teachers to understand what is going on in their students' lives and how to pinpoint where their student may be struggling. Knowing how to properly assess the situation will ultimately not only help the student to grow upon and flourish in their educational environment, but in their other environments as well. So I put that because when I first started in the education program, it was drilled into me that having a relationship with your student is very, very, very important. And it's not just important to build a relationship with your students. It's also very important to build a relationship with their parents, their caregivers, everyone that's in their lives, really. So I chose an example of a teacher noticed one of their students had a hard time concentrating in class and was always especially in a hurry before lunch. The teacher later learned that the student was often missing breakfast because their parents had to drop them off at school earlier than usual in order to get to work in time. With this knowledge, the teacher is now able to conceal light snacks for the students to enjoy and to help this particular student get to something to eat before lunch. This will also help the student to have better concentration towards their schoolwork instead of focusing on their hunger. So the way I use this is without a relationship, the teacher would never have known why the student was always in a hurry or having really bad concentration issues. Because they were able to get a relationship with their student, they were able to help them. And helping them solve one problem helps fix another. So this theory is actually very relevant to education because it's a tool that we can use to help our students, which is our ultimate goal. Thank you. This is the end. Y'all have a great day.